it's about having an understanding or doing as much research, and often I recognise that it's hard to do research on stuff, on these sort of pay bands for different jobs or whatever. But if you can speak to people, ask some advice about the sort of the range that people might be getting paid for the sort of work you're going for, and then maybe thinking about where you would sit within that range based on your experience or the skills that you bring to it, and so that gives you a range where you think that's appropriate. And then be confident to talk about that sort of range. I'm always looking to have a conversation with the person. If they think they should be paid more, then understand why they think they should be paid more. And it's it's not a hard-nosed negotiation. It's a discussion generally about that sort of stuff. I'll have my reasons about what I think it should be paid, and if we can talk about that. The aim being that at the end of the conversation that we're both happy with the outcome, and it may be the full pay rise, it may be no pay rise, but I guess the conversation and the engagement, people understand where they are, where we're at.
If you do get an opportunity during the recruitment process, and this could be, and I would recommend also before the interview process as well, is to make contact with HR and get an understanding about what the possible salary range is for the role. And a responsible recruiter should also, in the early stages, be asking what is your expectations as well. I believe we need to challenge ourselves and ask for our worth. If you accept a role where perhaps it's lower pay than what you're on now, and in a similar role, similar industry, you'll only that will only hang around and become an issue for you ongoing if you do take that role in the organisation. That's what I've seen. I would strongly recommend that you go and speak to some of your connections, your friends around what they think you should be getting paid for the role. I'm not saying go and tell them I've been offered X amount of money and I don't think it's enough. No need to go into specifics. That's confidential around what we offer or what you're offered by an employer. But definitely, ask the people around you. What do you think? This role should be getting paid. And there's a lot of resources out there as well. Even jumping on social media, and there's groups on social media where there's cohorts that you can raise these questions with around particular roles. What should the industry be paying? You can also have a look at even award rates and see as a minimum to check what should I be getting paid for this role. So jumping on the Fair Work website and having using their calculator and seeing that that you're at least being paid minimum wage, and that could possibly be an argument in itself to an organisation to say, you're paying me the award wage. Is it possible to get above award wage?
It's worth doing your research before you receive an offer of salary, so that you know what the market is paying for that role. So there's resources on the internet. You can also even talk to a recruiter who you trust. They may give you some ideas of what should be paying. Also be aware of different parts of a package. There's the base salary, there's the superannuation, there's bonuses, and understand where that is so that you realise how much is in extra pieces such as bonuses or extras such as gym membership versus how much is the base salary. If you want to negotiate it, it's probably worth thinking through what you would like to get, and in a respectful way talk through is there any room to move in this salary offer, and perhaps give some reasons why you feel like you should have a little bit more money being offered to you. Also keep in mind there might be some different conditions you could negotiate. So even if the salary isn't exactly what you're after, there might be something else such as some study or training or some flexibility that would suit you. So think about it a bit differently. And again, keep in mind it's a two-way conversation with an employer.
So if you're a little bit unsure, and you've obviously got a reason why you're unsure, and so the best thing is just to communicate that through and trying to find that example and that justification as to why you think that the role should be paid at a higher rate. I think it's important to do that conversation at that time when you do identify that as being an issue, because you don't want to get into the role and then regret being in there and then not stick around just because you didn't have that conversation at the right time. It doesn't hurt to ask.